The agent world is more cutthroat than anything I've ever done. I've never been a drug dealer, but I watch all the shows. And I would tell you that the way we've run this company has taught me how to run a criminal enterprise. So I started my first lawyer job September 15th. I called my business partner on September 17th, my now business partner, and I was like, yo, Bobby, shout out to Bobby Gauthier, by the way. It's like, you want to do this? And he was like, what do agents do? And I was like,
why him though? Why'd you call him?
Because I knew he knew how to recruit, and I knew he had that killer instinct. You're gonna work on them with their training. So like this guy, like you think he has everything except the skating. So we gotta get him a skating coach. So we got people that like we rock with that we think will do a good job. Or like this guy, he has all the skill, he has all the intelligence, but he's soft. Like he's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're like, we want to cultivate that. So like, there's certain coaches that you're gonna recommend that they play for in season that are gonna try to bring that out of them.
Who would you say is I don't know all the players. I think that NHL hockey is the best playoff sport there is. Like that goes undisputed. But who would you say is like, who was like your GOAT growing up? Like, you know, did you have a GOAT growing up? Did you look at other black players that were in the NHL at the time and were like, I want to be like that guy one day, he broke barriers, or he's there now? What was like your sort of North Star when you were like that young?
Let's flat out. Big teams, big boys, alright? My highs and lows inherit growth, Mr. Deeds. Went from juggling 3 jobs to CEO like I'm Steve. Never been a rotten apple, call me John Appleseed. That's how I bleed. I can see no other man can judge me. Call him Mike, Mr. International, getting cream. Single mother told me worth, and now I'm worth everything. Went from Wall Street to Abu Dhabi, straight rolling in a Maserati with women that feel exotic. My life too pristine.
Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement.
What's going on, man?
Flat out.
Welcome back to the Last Fight Out podcast. I'm your host, Jay. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us across all of our social media channels at Last Fight Out Podcast. You can follow me, Jay, at JLubriel26, and you can follow Mike, who's here in spirit, at If Mike Was Here. But I'm not here alone. This person I've wanted here for quite some time on the podcast. This is someone who's been a big brother to me since law school. He's 2 years ahead of me. He was showing me the ropes and making sure I stay locked in, and I have to say on the record, I owe part of my career to this guy. So big ups to him. He's gone on to work on multiple premier law firms. He's become a partner at one of them, and then is now chasing one of his lifelong dreams, which is becoming an NHL agent. He's a father, he's a loyal husband, a great friend, and an overall great human being. So season 5 kicks off with my brother, John Osei Tutu, otherwise known as Cheap Ozzy, man. What's up? How's it going, man? Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you for the kind words.
I did you justice, right? I kept all the BS out of the way from law school. You know, you were hard ass on me, but that's good. That was for good reason. Yeah, exactly. The way we like to start off our shows with our guests is usually ask a little bit of an icebreaker question. So I'm gonna just give you a phrase or a word, and you give me the first thing that comes to your mind. You ready?
I think so.
Okay. The phrase is starting over.
My career.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And we want to jump into that. Look, I'm sure people can Google your name and they'll find out where you are today, but let's reverse and go back to the beginning. So you're from Long Island. You're a black guy, obviously. How the hell did you get into hockey, bro?
Man, I've told this story a couple times. Could put it in the representation matters bucket. But when I was 4, the first Mighty Ducks came out, and they had Jesse and Terry in the movie, 2 black kids. Shout out to Jussie Smollett, who I think he played Jesse. And I looked at my mom and I was like, yo, I want to do that. And I grew up in Freeport. So my mom took me over to the Freeport rec. They were like, you got to buy the equipment. My parents were like, you want to do this? I was like, yeah. Got into it, fell in love with it. That was the first ever life passion of mine, was to try to be an NHL player. I like to think I was a pretty good player. unfortunately, around 15, 16, I started dealing with some health issues, and I became a coach. And when I was a coach, I had the benefit of being around a lot of high end talent. I had the benefit of watching some of my peers go on to become pros, and some of them are still in the NHL. But I also watched guys that maybe were just as good, if not better, fall off. And, I was in college and I was in law school. I had been coaching my nephew and my nephew's peer group. And I watched kind of the same movie start over. And I said, let me see if I can make an impact. And that was when we decided to start the company.
And you were like not interested in any other sport, like basketball, football. I mean, you could have played some football. You didn't like any of that?
I mean, I like all of it, but I was really passionate about what I was into. So
Okay, that's what's up. And what is it about like hockey that really drew you into the sport, and how did that like form the character or the type of person that you are today?
So one of my catchphrases is like, you got to love the ones that love you back. And I definitely was not good at baseball. I was pretty good at soccer. And I ended up becoming a really good hockey player. And I think that was part of why I became so passionate about it. But I couldn't tell you, man. I just took to it very early on.
Okay, cool. And when did you realize like, hey, I'm like the only kid who looks like me playing this sport?
So very quickly, but when you're 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily internalize that. But you get older and then you start going to tournaments and you meet other kids. And I actually remember the first time I played against another black kid. His name was Milton Lyles. He's actually now an actor in New York. And Mans was on Oprah for being a black hockey player when we were like 12.
Man, that should have been you.
Man,
that could have been you.
So we went to this camp in Boston when we were like 13. They actually made us roommates. Yeah. Well, you could look at that.
I'm just laughing.
You could look at that two ways. You could look at that like, they're like, oh, let's stick these two in the attic. Or you could look at it and be like, oh, like they wanted us to be able to vibe out and,
be yourself.
Yeah. Or not even just like, share experiences, all of that. But there were others. Kyle Oposo, who's played a long time in the NHL. He's my age. I remember him coming up from Minnesota. Nowadays, there's a lot more of us in the game, but
there is.
Yeah.
Random question: who would you say is? I don't know all the players. I think that NHL hockey is the best playoff sport there is. Like that goes undisputed. But who would you say is like, who was like your GOAT growing up? Like, did you have a GOAT growing up? Did you look at other black players that were in the NHL at the time and were like, I want to be like that guy one day. He broke barriers or he's there now. What was like your sort of North Star when you were like that young?
I mean, there's guys that have come up through the ranks, but like when I was a kid, Anson Carter was in the league. He's now a prominent person doing what you do in media. Mike Greer actually went on to become the first black general manager in the NHL.
Yeah.
He's the GM of San Jose. So guys like that that I looked up to. But, I'm not like looking at the game like, oh, let me follow all the black guys. Like, Gretzky, we grew up in New York. So when Gretzky came to New York, that was a big deal. Messier was a big deal. You know what I mean?
You remember the 94 year and all that stuff?
I mean, we were young, but yeah.
Yeah, you remember. Yeah. But also, random question: who's the GOAT in your opinion, Gretzky or Ovechkin?
I mean, it's not even a debate.
I'm not a hockey guy.
Nah, it's just like
most of my people are not hockey people, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, you got Jordan, you got Tiger, you got Gretzky.
Okay, got it. All right, that answers.
That's not like a Messi and Ronaldo thing.
Oh, it's not?
No.
In your community, it's not like LeBron, MJ.
I mean, I would say
LeBron, MJ is a lot closer than.
I would say it's more like debating LeBron and Kobe.
Okay, damn.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Like it's not even a debate. It's like to most people, it's not a debate.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. See, I learned something.
Who is the GOAT, by the way, in basketball? I'm gonna ask you the question.
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always gonna be. I think it's undeniable what LeBron's done, but I remember watching Jordan, and I remember just being in awe of this guy. You know what I mean? Like, just like, wow, like this guy's like out of worldly. Like LeBron is like a physical specimen and he has his case and argument as well. But I just think that like I go past the titles and I go, who do I want the ball in the most crucial moments of the game? Like if my life was on the line, who do I want taking the last shot under that type of pressure? Like somebody can die.
Yeah.
And I want to give it to MJ because he was a killer. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't teach that.
I agree.
You can't teach that.
So on my team, when we're talking about players, like we're looking at these kids and we're starting to scout them at, 13, 14. I keep telling the guys on my team, like, does he have that X factor, that Michael Jordan factor, which is just like,
yeah,
we're down 5 with 30 seconds left and I'm going to win. That's not something you teach. That you either have that in you or you don't.
Can't teach that. You can't teach that. I remember moving the story along, like if you want to just touch briefly upon, you said that you dealt with certain health issues at 15, 16. At that point, before the health issues started onsetting, where were you? Were you on the road to becoming the sort of like getting your college offer, going to, doing everything that you needed to do to eventually become pro? Like, where were you at that time? And then maybe touch upon wherever you feel comfortable with sharing.
I mean, I was a good player. I would have played D1, I think, but you know how many dudes would sit here and tell you like, oh, like back in the day, man. But you could ask the 88s that were around back when I was coming up. They'll tell you.
Okay. Oh, they'll tell you. Oh, so you don't like to toot your own. All right. So, all right, cool. All right, cool. So then what made you sort of like decide on law school? Was that always like, why did you always want to become a lawyer? Like, is it something that you were like, okay, the NHL thing doesn't work out, this is a sort of like an alternative option?
Almost everybody in my family is a medical professional.
I do remember this.
And I wanted to go to law school because I didn't really know all of the things that were available to me because everybody in my family was a nurse or a doctor or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, my dad is from Ghana, my mom is from Queens, but, traditionally, particularly in West African households, it's like you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer,
whatever.
So it was like, I knew I didn't want to go to medical school. And I knew law school would have been a great option. It was going to open up a lot of doors for me.
Yeah.
So I had the thought of like maybe, using my skills as a lawyer, some way to work in the sport. But I think when I went to law school, my initial plan was to be a criminal defense lawyer. And
that was your 1L year? Because I definitely didn't meet you that year already.
Nah, like, you know how it is, particularly like when you go to a school like Fordham, everybody just wants to go into big law. So you get there and you're like, oh, what is this? Like, oh, like that's, what do? You start chasing the bag. That's how you get to the bag.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a big law guy right now. So, yeah, so that was kind of what happened. And then, you do the on-campus interviews and then somebody gives you a job and you're like, this is more money than I ever made in my life. And then, that's what you do.
It's the golden handcuffs for sure.
But I just like, within a week of being in that world, I just knew like this wasn't what I wanted to do. To me, it was a means to an end.
Yeah. I mean, look, just reversing it back. I remember my first day at Fordham, or my second day at Fordham. You were the first person I met at that lunch table. And you were like, you spoke to me. This is the type of guy John was. He started speaking to me like I had known him for a long time. I was like, what the hell is this dude? Like, who's this dude just talking to me like this? But honestly, man, you made me feel so comfortable and you gave me an immediate group of friends. Even though they weren't my class here, when you guys left, I felt so lonely because I was only hanging out with the 2015s.
Yeah, you graduated.
I graduated with you guys. And at that point, by the time you graduate, I had the job secured in the bag already. STB was already in the bag. So it's like I had nothing like kind of left to like keep like kind of like what's the purpose of me coming to school, staying late, doing the happy hours on Thursdays, just building that camaraderie. But going back to your point about the X factor and the killer instinct, I think law school is also a perfect ground. Like you can analogize a lot to sports and the type of characters you meet in sports. You have your superstars, you got your role players,
Yeah. I mean,
from a mental aspect, not physical.
It is, the first year is the Hunger Games. It literally is. They're like, yo, there's 50 of you sitting in here. There's 4 A's. Who's getting one?
That's wild. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember like one of my professors said that. They were like, look, I give a lot of B's. I give like maybe 3 A's, 4 A's, maybe max. That's A minus.
Yeah.
and I'm over here like, I need this bag, bro. Like I can't leave law school with all this debt and come out of here with like a job. No shade to anybody making this, but like I needed something that would be able to serve as a lifestyle. And you definitely showed me the way while I was there.
Yeah.
So you definitely put me on, man. So I really appreciate that. But you did graduate cum laude. So like I want to bring a shout out to you. There was a lot of people who underestimated you in law school. We won't shout them out here. There was a lot of people who underestimated you. They were like, oh, Malloy College.
Yeah.
We won't mention the other colleges that kept, you know,
yeah.
but there's a lot of people who underestimated you. And I didn't understand why.
Well,
Like, I really didn't understand why, bro. Like, you were, like, I really didn't. I was like, yo, you're intelligent. You're smart. I just think that they were kind of jealous.
but I definitely think that, you know, you see me, I got a big smile on my face because you go in, like, it's the Hunger Games, man. Either you eat or you don't. And once you're in it, it really doesn't matter where you came from, what business you started, how much money your family has. None of that. It's what you're going to do. And
it's an equalizer for sure.
Yeah.
It's an equalizer. And okay, so then you go off, you graduate law school, you started your big law firm, you realize within a weekend, this is not for me. This is a means to an end. At what point were you like, all right, I need to start making this pivot towards what you do today? Like, what was the beginning grounds and building that foundation in order to set you up to become an NHL agent, to have your own collective, to have your own group?
So I started my first lawyer job September 15th. I called my business partner on September 17th, my now business partner, and I was like, yo, Bobby, shout out to Bobby Gauthier, by the way. It's like, you want to do this? And he was like, what do agents do? And I was like,
why him though? Why'd you call him?
Because I knew he knew how to recruit, and I knew he had that killer instinct in him.
Got him.
So we started the business. Like we spent the next 4 months laying out a game plan, and went from an idea to a vision to a game plan with a strategy that we executed. And, we worked. He quit his job the first year. I was billing 2,700 hours a year. The first year we were in this, and nights and weekends I'm grinding, building relationships, networking, recruiting players, and
the recruitment process also required for you to travel, right?
Yes.
So
I was on a flight. I was on the first and the last flight out every weekend for like 4 years. I was just not home
and working.
Yes, and having fun. But we just like worked as hard as we could at it. You start meeting people, you try to build an infrastructure that makes sense. And here we are now, 9 years later, $70 million under management. And now I'm like happy to say I get to say goodbye to the billable hour for real.
Shout out to that.
Yeah, for real. So I'm not in that law firm life anymore. But honestly, I feel like I'm working even harder now than I was in the beginning. So
I mean, that's how it always is, right? When you have but it's yours. So you don't mind slaving over it because it's yours, as opposed to maybe having something else as someone else's. You're like, I'm only getting but a small cut of this. I'm not really getting a lot of this. So it's like, what's the point of me doing this at the end of the day, right? So I mean, I'm super happy for you. But to roll it back a little bit, just to rewind a little bit, what were some of the obstacles that you faced in the beginning? Like, did you face any obstacles? Because, I mean, I'm just going to ask you point blank, period. Like, did you ever get any parents be like, what do you know about hockey? Just by looking at you? Or like, did you ever feel that in a way or in a sense?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. But, if you're going to let me get on the mic, I'm going to let you know about me.
Right.
So, definitely, I think I use it as a weapon, because people take a meeting with us and be like, yeah, like these guys, their daddy didn't build them a business. They didn't play in the league. They don't have a roster of 9 million, players. Like, we just hustled.
Right.
So the way I used to tell people is like, look, you want to know about the game, we could talk about the game. But like, forget about what everybody else is doing. Let me talk about what we bring to the table and what we can do for you.
Right.
And from day one till now, we say the same thing. Like, the smart people go with us. and the smart people stay with us. And you're seeing some of those smart people really benefiting from the association with us.
Right.
So now it's easier, but look, a black guy from Long Island, New York, and I was 27 years old, and I'm on a flight to Minneapolis and driving up to Duluth, Minnesota to go sit down with a family. And like, it's not lost on me that I might be the first black person that this kid ever spoke to.
Right.
But those aren't like hurdles. Those aren't obstacles. That's not adversity. That's what's on the chessboard. How am I going to win the game?
That's a great way to think about it, man. And what are some of the things that you okay, so you were a lawyer before this, and then you're an agent. So what are some things that were some sort of misconceptions that you had about becoming an agent? What are some of the things that you learned about being an agent? Were there some things that you were like, damn, like I really didn't see this coming? Like what's that world like? Because you see ESPN, you see all these guys reporting, seems all chummy and stuff like that, but the agent world is kind of like that first year of law school, right?
The agent world is more cutthroat than anything I've ever done. I've never been a drug dealer, but I watch all the shows, and I would tell you that the way we've run this company has taught me how to run a criminal enterprise. Except that like, so we have territories, we got places that we have. I would say we have on in a stranglehold. Like I'm from Long Island. If you come to recruit a player on Long Island, like, I'm not going to lose. I'm not supposed to lose that.
Right.
My business partner, Bobby, he's from Boston. There's a lot of agents in Boston.
Yeah.
So we had to knock off some of the big dogs to get relevant there.
Right.
But when you leave, you at a game, and when you leave, or your client's dad goes to the bathroom and another guy's following him in the bathroom, be like, how you doing, Mr. So-and-so?
Like a business card.
Yeah, it's really like, it's like that. So you gotta, like, we've had guys that have come to join our group that have wanted to work with us that I thought would have been really successful. And the first time they walk into the arena and another guy looks at them a way they don't like, and they're like, yo, this ain't for me. So you gotta be ready to go to war. And the same mindset that we look for in an athlete, like, there's a loose puck over there, who's going to get it, you or the other guy that's 5 inches taller than you and 50 pounds heavier than you? We want the kid that's not scared. We're the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect that it wasn't like that, but I'm assuming it gets confrontational between agents sometimes, right? Like, depending. But how does it really work? Like, okay, I'm the client. Let's just say I'm the player. I sign with you. Is there some sort of exclusivity in these agreements? There's none.
Like, see, like, that's exclusivity. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be represented by two different people.
No,
you can be like, you can have an agent from 15 to 21, and then
fire him and go to somebody else.
Right, you're gonna, right before you sign a $68 million deal, you flip to the other guy. The Jerry Maguire thing is real. That happened to us. We worked for 5 years to get our first NHL player, and he fired us 10 games in. And it was in 2020 during the pandemic. But like I said, man, this is the chessboard. How are we going to win the game?
And is it like, yo, like I said, is it just you're fired? That's it? No explanation? Like, how do these things kind of go? And I know, obviously, you don't have to give detail, but in general, is there some sort of like, yo, what's going on? Like,
depends.
Okay. Yeah. Something. I mean, 10 games in.
Yeah, 10 games in. He's still in the league.
What did that experience teach you?
I mean,
first of all, what was your initial thought? And then what was the second thought?
We knew that we needed to invest more in, the relationship side. And, you recruit an athlete when they're 14, you're talking to mom and dad.
Yeah.
You're not really talking to that young man. But, that young man at some point becomes 20, 21, 22, 23 years old.
His own thoughts.
And they have their own thoughts, feelings, opinions. And what dad is rocking with might not be what he's rocking with. So you have to refine your craft. And,
right.
Then, like, we have a no assholes policy. So, when we're starting out, we're just happy to get anybody who's got a chance. Now, like, I sit across from you Like now I'll tell people when I go into a recruiting meeting, I'll be like, look, like, I think you're a top 3 player in the country. And I think you got a real chance to play in the NHL. But I'm not here just to tell you why you should work with me. I'm here to figure out if it's worth my time to invest my energy and take time away from my family and my current clients to work with you. Because it don't matter how talented you are. You have to also be a successful person off the ice.
Yep.
And you have to like you have to have integrity.
Right.
You know, I'm paying attention to little things like, do you say thank you to the person who fills up your cup of water? There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm sizing these young people up, and you got to size the parents up. Because let's face it, people fucking suck. And if you're going to work for free for somebody for 6 years, just for them to tell you, see you later, you probably could have learned that about them just off the initial.
Right. Right. And usually who makes the ultimate decision at that age? Is it the parents who make the ultimate decision as to whether they want you to represent their kid? Like obviously the kid's a minor, so you can't enter into a deal with the minor, right?
Well, we don't enter into a deal. Well, so now things have changed right now with this whole NIL
Okay, yeah.
thing, but like you know, this is
Handshake.
you're a family advisor.
Got it.
You're not the agent.
Got it.
You're the family advisor until that player turns pro.
Got it. And then you're the agent.
So remember, you brought up exclusivity before. So think about it like this. I can get advice from whoever I want. But at some point, I'm going to have to get a deal done. And when I want to get a deal done, somebody has to negotiate that deal.
Got it.
So all these people that you've been getting advice from
Got it.
aren't necessarily your agent.
Right.
So you can get a yes from somebody at 14, but
that don't mean nothing.
You got to keep earning that as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And where are the hotbeds? I mean, I can already imagine, obviously, cold weather states in the north and the central, Midwestern. So? But where are the hotbeds to go recruit?
Well, let me just stop you for a second.
Yeah.
One of the faces of the NHL is Austin Matthews.
The guy who plays in the Oilers, right?
No, that's McDavid.
That's McDavid.
He plays on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he's a half Mexican kid from Arizona. So he's not from a hotbed.
No,
so we're not just like, oh, like we're gonna be in, you know.
And he grew up and played hockey out of Arizona.
Yeah, he grew up there. He came up. He spent time in Europe. He played in the U.S. development system.
Yeah,
but Detroit, Boston, Minnesota. Everybody plays hockey in Minnesota. So you know what I mean. That's kind of the Mecca.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, so Minnesota is the Mecca. They'll tell you it's the Mecca. But there's kids coming from everywhere now, like Florida,
I mean, Florida has 2 teams, right?
Right. So, yeah. So they're Dallas. I mean, you see the kids coming from everywhere nowadays.
Yeah, but I would. Do you find that? And again, this is just me from the outside looking in. I'm assuming a place like Minnesota stays cold for most of the year. So you can, I mean, there's rinks and stuff like that, but do you feel like there's an advantage based upon where you play or where you grew up out of?
Yeah, of course. Like on Long Island, if you want to play hockey, you probably come from an affluent family. The skates are expensive. The sticks are expensive. You're going to keep growing. Your stick's going to break. Right. It's $300 every time you need a new stick. Right. A sheet of ice for an hour is $700 where I live.
$700? So
yeah,
you want to get some guys together, $700?
Yeah, but like team practice, that's baked into the cost, right? But if you grow up in a place like Maple Grove, Minnesota, shout out to my boy Connor Kelly because that's where he's from.
I was gonna say, is that a real place?
Oh yeah, great place too. But yeah, no, like if you're from out there, like your community center, like. That's where you're going to play. Like, you're going to play for your high school, literally. Like it'd be like growing up here playing for your high school basketball team.
Right.
But on Long Island, you're in Philly, D.C., Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Detroit, every other weekend trying to get competition. Right. So it's just, there are definitely advantages, but.
Okay, so I just out of curiosity, because this is something that Mike wants to know too. So when you take a kid at 14, 13, explain that journey, I guess, in a high level between 14 to the time right before they get signed. Like, what's that journey like with the interaction between you, the family, the player? What type of what's the prototypical road for this kid? So he's at 14, 13. He's probably
Is this
playing,
like the top guy on the list? Like a projected first
let's just
rounder?
say a projected first rounder.
Yeah, I mean, so like that guy, you're helping him like.
And they already have him projected at that age.
No, it's gonna change.
Okay.
You know, but you're gonna work on them with their training. So like this guy, like you think he has everything except the skating. So we gotta get him with a skating coach. So we got people that like we rock with that we think will do a good job. Or like this guy, he has all the skill, he has all the intelligence, but he's soft. Like he's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're like, we want to cultivate that. So like
How do you
there's
cultivate that?
certain coaches that you're gonna recommend that they play for in season that are gonna try to bring that out of them.
Right. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Have you seen somebody like toughen up is the wrong word, but somebody who's gotten a little bit more edge in their game?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got guys that like they're just physical freaks and they're super athletic, but they don't process the game well. So like one of the things my business partner, Bobby, like his title is the director of player development. So he's really involved with like, how are you developing the requisite skills for the next level and the next level and the next level? So that's like a big part of it. Then you have like the term of art family advisor. You're giving them advice on like where to play, what decisions they make, what college are you going to commit to. So like you want to know the difference between playing for a Jay Pandolfo versus playing for a Greg Brown at BC. And like all the guys in my game and the other agents could tell you that we are really into like the individual, the human being. Is this person a visual learner? Is he an auditory learner? Like, is he somebody that's going to thrive well in an environment with a coach that's just going to yoke you up and like, you know what I mean? Or is this the kid that needs the coach that's very passive and is just going to, you know, calm you down and sit you down?
Right.
So these are critical decisions that impact the maturation of the athlete. There's academic components of this. There's geographic components of this. You know, a kid that's growing up in Connecticut may not want to go to Shattuck St. Mary's in Minnesota. They may want to go to a school like Mount St. Charles. Even like at that age, negotiations are a thing. You sitting there talking to this school and that school, and this school's like, oh, it's going to cost you $15,000. And you're like, okay, but mom and dad got to fly out 6 or 7 times a year. So we got to factor that into this cost. Whereas this school might not be as good, the costs associated and the ecosystem that we've built in that region allows us to supplement. So there's a lot of critical decisions. Then you're like, do I go play for the U.S. national team at 16?
Is that a? I would think that's a no-brainer. Is that a no-brainer?
So let me ask you this:
Okay.
If every single kid that's on that team is used to being the first line center,
I don't know what that means. Break it down.
So in hockey, you got the first line, the second line, the third line, and the fourth line for forwards.
Oh, the ones who come out in and out, right? Like
yeah. Well, just you go as a unit.
As a unit, yeah.
So your whole life you've been first line. You play center. You get there, and now you are the fourth line left wing. Is that the best place for that player to go develop?
No, it's not.
Maybe, maybe not. But see, that's the role of the family advisor. That's how you're earning the business of this athlete. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going to sit there and tell some family, like, look, I know you just got this contract. You're going to represent your country. And we're sitting there, and Bobby's looking at the dad training face, and he might be like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. You don't want to take that contract. And they'll be like, what?
That would be my reaction.
Correct.
Naturally, you wouldn't understand that.
But that's why I keep going back to the same analogy. We're sitting there with the family like, look, this is the chessboard. This is everything that you need to know that you wouldn't have found out until you went through it. And now let's make an informed decision.
Right.
The same skills that you would apply if you're figuring out a litigation strategy or how to close a deal. That's how we approach it.
Right.
It's issue spotting. And then coming up, anticipating needs and coming up with solutions.
Yeah. And having a risk allocation. I'm sure there's some parents that are like, F it, we'll still go.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, 100%.
Right. And then there's some kids that might be, no, I won't go, but that may have been the wrong decision. You never know, right? How it can play, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's interesting to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're also building the brand of the athlete. So eventually you're going to get to the draft year. And we tell them your target audience is each of the 32
what's the draft
teams.
eligibility for hockey?
Basically, what functionally is your senior year of high school. So you're 17 years old.
Oh, you can go
going
in
into
high
your
school?
eighth. No, but that senior year is your draft year.
Okay.
That fall, the teams are watching you with the intention of drafting you.
Okay, got it.
Obviously, there's some nuances, but I'm just trying to.
Yeah, you're right.
So in that year, where you're playing, who you're playing for, what role you have on that team, do they have the development resources available so you can level up the things that you don't necessarily have? Are you going to get the views that you need? And then here we are. Now we have to tell a story. Hey, Detroit Red Wings, here's why you want to draft this player. And that's where having that 4-year runway from when you first had that first conversation with them together as a team, this is what we do. This literally, I wouldn't say this is applicable to everybody in my business, but at my company, this is what we do. We're building that brand. We're building that foundation, these skills, because that kid, when he gets into his draft year, he's not looking around trying to figure out where he fits into the world. He knows exactly who he is. He knows exactly what he's bringing to the table, and now it's time to execute.
Right. And yes.
Same way, when you walk in to Fordham Law School and somebody's giving you the right outlines and tells you like, "Yo, this is what the exam's gonna look like,"
right.
It can make a big difference.
Yeah. It can save you 10 minutes, which makes all the difference in the world, writing 10 minutes more than somebody else, right?
So, absolutely. Or just knowing that, like, yo, they don't really care about spelling. They care about the analysis. Or like, you don't have to get the law exactly right. They want to know the application of it.
Right.
That's the difference between a B+ and an A-, which is the difference between earning $180,000 starting versus earning $80,000 as a starting job.
Yeah.
So that's our role, is to make sure that everybody we work with doesn't look back thinking, damn, I wish I knew then what I know now.
Yeah, you want to give them all the information. And okay, so they're at draft. You're at the draft, and shout out to you, man. You just had somebody go in the first round this past year, so congratulations on that. What is that day like for you? You worked with this kid all these years. You finally get there. What's going through walk me through the day of the agent. Like, are you getting calls from the teams? Like, what's going, like, from your perspective? The kid's obviously nervous. He's probably like anticipating a lot. There's a lot of emotions going on. From your perspective, what's going on leading up to the draft, the day of the draft?
I mean, leading up to the draft, you're getting ready for the combine. So you want to make sure you're training for the tests, interview prep.
But if you're a projected top 10 pick, is the combine still important?
Hell yeah.
Okay. I didn't
think about it. If you're picking in the top 10 right now, you're the team. And you go into the combine, you're not like, okay, like this kid's the best kid. And like these kids are all kind of interchangeable. Right. So you have your team's needs, but at the same time, like, you're going to interview this person.
Right.
I don't care how many pull-ups you do. I want to know when I'm sitting across the table from you and the media is in your face and, the city's mad because they haven't won in the last 10 years. Like, do you have that internal fortitude to win? Because my job is on the line and I got to pick you or that kid. We want our guys to be prepared for that.
Right.
And that's not like a draft thing. That's, like I said, you building the foundation of this human being and this athlete. So by the time you get to the combine, our guys are prepared for interviews, for media, the testing, all of that.
I'm assuming the interviews, because I don't even know, because I'm a big football, baseball, and basketball guy. I'm assuming that they'll sit with the GM, the coach, and they'll ask them questions about the game, how they see the game, how you process the game, and they'll test them that way.
Yeah, but they'll ask you about your social media.
Yeah, it's true.
They'll ask you, like, why did you change agents? Why are you wearing those shoes? Like, they'll ask you all kind of questions. Like, so this is an example that it didn't come up this year, but if you're a player who's like kind of playing the Tebow card, like you're a religious guy, like,
Yeah.
So if I'm the GM of the team and I'm trying to figure out if you're real or not, I might ask you, like, what's the address to your church? Or what's your priest's name? And if you don't know the answer to that, what am I like? I'm not going to be impressed. Now I'm like, I don't know if anything about you is real.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
So authenticity is a big part of it. But like going back to your question about draft day, I mean, the work has been done. nobody. I mean, sometimes you'll know like this player's not going to get past this team, but like if you're picking third, you might not want to tell the agent of that player like, yo, like we're taking him because he's going to turn around and call 2-1 and be like, yo, you better step up because
right.
or like to the team that's picking fourth, which is where you want him to go.
Right.
Like, yo, you're gonna have to trade up because they're gonna do it.
But
so you don't know.
Let me stop you right there. So in other sports, I don't know if this happens in hockey. How is it that players can get away with, I don't want to play there? I know if you're that good, you can kind of command it, but how does that work from the agent's perspective? Like, yo, you better not draft my guy because he's not showing up to camp. Like, I draft you, I own your draft rights. You're not going anywhere else.
Well,
I know from the team perspective, I may not want that smoke because I don't want to deal with somebody who's not being cooperative. But how does that really? How do you really like? How does that even work?
I mean, like to really like answer that question, I'd have to give you like a pretty thorough explanation of like the rights associated with the player, depending on what path they go.
Yeah.
But just like one anecdote would be, if a player is drafted by a team and they go to the NCAA,
yeah,
that team owns their rights for 4 years. So if you at the end of year 2, the team's trying to sign you and you're like, nah, I'm gonna go back for my junior year. Now here comes the end of the junior year. That summer, we want to sign you. You're looking at them and you're like, well, I don't know if I'm feeling moving to insert city name.
right.
I kind of like living on the East, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
That team has to make a decision at that point. Are we going to trade this asset, or are we going to walk him up to his senior year, and then on August 15th, he's going to become a free agent and he can pick where he wants to go?
Yeah.
So it's less about like, yo, don't draft me, I'm not coming. But if you get drafted and you're like, okay, it's the summer of my junior year, I had a 50-point season. The team drafted me, telling me they want to put me in the American League. You might look at them and be like, listen, I kind of like it over here at Harvard,
right,
or whatever school. I'm good. They got NIL now. They treat me great. I'm going to just hang out.
And now paying players, right?
Right. So,
right.
So you want me to sign? I'm going to need you to put me right in the league.
And you can get that in writing? Can you get that in writing?
No, but you.
Can they do an opie dope? I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works.
Everything is possible.
Right,
but,
right.
When you're representing the player, these are the types of conversations you're having. And you want to have a player that's informed of their rights, because there's a lot of nuance to this stuff. So,
yeah.
But like going back to what I was saying before earlier, like these are the types of things that when you're preparing for the draft, the team's going to want to look at your history and be like, yo, this kid played for 5 teams in 5 years. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know about this.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to be able to explain like, oh no, like my dad is a professor. He moves a lot, so I've moved with him, or like whatever things have happened. Like there's got to be more to the story.
Right.
The communications you're having with the teams then are going to inform when it's time to sit across the table and say like, yo, $7 million is our number. You're setting the stage. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot that goes into this.
There's a rookie scale, right, for the NHL?
Okay. Yeah. You're in a 3-year entry level system where you're maxed at. There's nuances to this too, but really it's like $1 million a year for the first 3 years. It's the most you can make
as a rookie.
Right. Now there's performance bonuses.
Right.
But you got to hit those, and only the top guys get them.
Got it.
But those are things that are negotiable by the agent.
And I guess, so you're do you have a sense already, or I know where my guy's going? Like, I know he's going to go. Are you very rarely surprised? Like, oh, damn, I didn't see this team. Or like, have you been pretty on point with the range of where you guys have been gone?
I don't believe anything until it happens. Talk is cheap. So, I mean, we've been lied to plenty of times.
Seriously?
The team will fly your guy out, have dinner. Yo, like, we hope we get you on draft day. And then on draft day, they take some other guy because that guy was projected to go 3rd and he's still sitting there at 6.
It's true.
So you can't rely on that. And that's, you have to manage your client's expectations. So for us, we are really big on perspective. You think about it this way. We're sitting here at the NHL draft. It's the first round, and you know for a fact your name is getting called. What the hell do you have to be stressed about? You know how hard it is to get to be a Division I athlete in anything. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's hard.
So you just have to keep perspective on it. And then, I had I work with this one PR crisis management woman named Cheryl McCann. She's brilliant. And she said something to me. We were dealing with a player last year who had some stuff going on in the background, and she just looked at me and was like, "John, relax." I'm like, "Relax? Like, are you reading this?" Like, and she's like, "Relax. Nothing happens wrong." And honestly, she was so right. And like,
What does she mean by that? Nothing happens wrong.
like, yo, if you don't get drafted in the top 5 because of whatever, or you slip to the second round because of whatever, like, God's got you.
Right.
Things are gonna work out in a way.
Yeah.
Like, there's a kid that I don't represent. He just won the Rookie of the Year, and he was passed on by every team twice. He went at the end of the second round, and this guy just won Rookie of the Year. And on draft day, I'm sure they were sick over it. But like, what do you think his call? It's called the Calder Trophy. What do you think his Calder Trophy was about? It wasn't about the fact that he got passed over 61 teams. It was like, yo, I'm here. Yeah. And had he been picked by any of those other teams, he might not have been in the situation he was in to have the year that he did to win.
Yeah.
And now hopefully he gets paid, man.
What the top contract in the NHL looks like? I know you guys, they sign like 7-8 year contracts, right, in the NHL. Right. It's not like the NBA where it's 4 years, 5 years maximum, or in baseball. Baseball is even longer. But
yeah, so my guy, my top player is making $6.5 million a year for the next 7 years. So it's a $45.5 million deal, which for a little small startup sports agency,
that's great, man.
Tremendous to be able to sit here and say that. But they're the top guys in the league. I mean, especially now that the new CBA is going into effect and the salary cap has gone up, you'll see guys that are going to make $13, $14, $15 million a year for a maximum of 7 years. Now, listen, the 6th guy on the bench in the NBA
he's sitting there just taking that money.
Yeah, like that's, so it's not the same thing, but it's getting there.
And your cut of everything, not asking for specific, everything's you negotiate. Is it bespoke for the players, or like a range as to what agents charge?
So I know MLB, NFL, NBA cap what the agents can take. The NHL doesn't, but go ahead and try to charge somebody 7% when everybody else in that locker room is paying their agent 3 to 5%
of the total gross value of the contract.
Right.
And that's due as soon as you sign that bad boy, or is it you can get it per year?
You get paid when the player gets paid.
Got it. Makes sense.
So that's on the ice compensation. Off the ice though, marketing, that's a very fluid thing, because if you look at the best 5 players in the NHL, if they walked right through here, like right now, we're on Canal Street in New York. If they walk down Canal Street right now, you wouldn't be able to pick them out. But the top 5 players in the NBA, you would.
Yeah, of course.
Our philosophy is we want to enhance the visibility, the notoriety, the likeness of these athletes. And you're starting to see the league is trying to get more into that, but that is an opportunity as an agent to score real points. Right. And you could charge more, but the industry standard is somewhere between 10 and 20%
of their off the ice marketing stuff. Whatever. Right. They got skate deals. I guess they get skate deals, right? Hockey stick deals.
Yeah, or a guy has his own hat line or whatever. Like there's opportunities now. And those opportunities don't start when you turn pro. Now they're starting in school. Right. So you might have a guy who's making $3-4 million a year on the ice, and you're only charging them 3%, but they're making $1 million off the ice because they're, so as the agent, you're actually earning more money off the $1 million guy than you are off the $4 million guy.
Exactly.
But in the sport of hockey, that's the culture isn't about the individual. It's always been about like blend in. Everybody looks the same, talks the same. You don't show personality.
Yeah.
But you're starting to see a
You're
little
starting to
more of
see
that.
A little bit more, like more pizzazz and swag. Like, so I don't know much. So I don't know much about, aside from the big names from hockey. Don't ask me about anyone specific, but a guy like PK Subban, for example, who I only recognize him because I know he commentates on some of the sports. He seems to have a little bit more personality than most of the other guys. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's not the norm though.
No, and he was considered a cancer in the locker room, a distraction.
He's played for the Predators, right? The Nashville.
Nashville. He started in Montreal.
I got it.
And I don't know PK personally. I did have the opportunity to meet him at the draft in Vegas. You know, it was Vegas, so
Is
a lot going on. It was a lot going on, man. But you know, listen, man, I respect that guy because he was gonna be him. And I think you know, he took a lot of heat, but he really opened the door for more guys to
be themselves.
Yes. And now the league, look, the NHL just got rid of the Allen Iverson rule.
I don't know.
There's no dress code now.
What was the dress code?
You used to have
before?
to wear a suit going into the game, so they got rid of that.
That's why they're all suited and booted. King Henry Blomqvist used to always be in a suit.
Yeah.
Man, he looked good in it, but like I was just saying, so now you can go like how these basketball players go, t-shirts, jeans.
Yeah, and do I think you're going to see NHL players, you know, walking in there with an Essentials hoodie on and grills and maybe not. But you have opportunities now to at least show a little bit more personality.
Okay. And do you think this is all positive for the sport from your perspective?
I think from a viewership perspective, it's critical.
Yeah. I don't have any empirical evidence of this, but I'm sure that during the playoffs, the viewership goes up. I mean, NHL definitely. Hockey playoffs is the best. So electric. I had the opportunity to go like almost 10 years ago to a Montreal Canadiens Maple Leafs playoff game in Toronto. And the Maple Leafs won. I've never felt an atmosphere like that since.
Yeah.
And I've been to playoff games in the Garden.
Yeah.
And I'm a Knicks fan. I didn't feel what I felt. I literally felt like the floor was going to tremble.
Yeah. Well, it's also the culture up there.
Yeah,
so
it
it's
is
a little different. I mean, the NHL viewership, if you were to separate the U.S. viewership from the Canadian viewership, you would learn a lot.
I'm sure it's life. That's
so it's just something that's changing.
That's the number one watch sport up there, obviously.
Right, but it's not here.
Yeah.
So
of the four major sports, it's third ahead of.
Well, I'm saying if you remove the Canadian viewership and you just look at what Americans are looking at,
yeah. And why do you think that is, though?
I think, you know, what baseball is America's pastime. Kids can easily grow up playing basketball. You get a ball, you can dribble it.
Right.
Soccer is a global sport. It's not really that popular here in the States. There's a lot of reasons why, but I do think that American culture is slightly different than hockey culture, and we're starting to see some alignment.
Got it.
You know, and the more personalities the players show, the more people talk about what's, you know, you're not going to hear about a guy in the NHL's mom hooking up with one of their teammates like you might in the NBA.
It's true.
But like those type of things, like when you're sitting in the barbershop, if you start hearing about like this kid that grew up in Boston and he didn't get drafted by the Bruins and he's popping off on Twitter to just like, oh, I can't wait to we playing the Bruins next week, blah, 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 blah. You might hear about that in the barbershop and then be like, yo, we're at the bar, like throw that on. I want to see what happens.
Right.
I feel like you don't really see that. You see that in UFC.
Oh, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
And in the NFL happens.
Right, in the NFL.
Cornerback, wide receiver matchups all the time.
Exactly.
Players to players in NBA.
LeBron is coming back to Cleveland. These are stories.
Right.
And I think that there are a lot of stories in the NHL, but because the culture is very much about the collective as opposed to the individual, you're missing that sauce that's going to get people to be like, oh, like, did you see what he posted?
Right.
This is going to be interesting. Like, I'm going to pay attention to this. And then I do think the game sells itself. I think when people sit there and they pay attention to it, they're like, yo, like, actually, like, so shout out to my boy Josh Stone, by the way, because he actually came up with the concept for this. He brought Bobby Schmurder to a Ranger game.
Icy Ventures, right?
That's right. And he
what was the idea behind that?
He grew up playing the game. We were teammates when we were kids. So he, you know, he's gone on. He's got a music career and other things going on. But he was like, yo, like I think that if you get American culture to focus on this, you're gonna get people to like it. So he brought Bobby to a Ranger game, and Bobby, I could be misquoting it, but my apologies for him, but I'm pretty sure what Bobby Schmurder said was like, yo, this is like gladiators on ice.
It is.
And he's a fan now.
Yeah.
But not only is he a fan, he's talking about it. He's wearing the jerseys at the shows, and his fans now are like paying attention to it.
Right.
So I think that we still have a way to go, but you're seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a way to go for sure, and it's. I mean, people just need to watch it more than often than not. But I definitely do believe that it's just a sport. When I saw up close and personal, I was like, "There's no tougher athlete than a hockey player." I mean, you're fighting on skates. I don't even want to see what you do when you got two sneakers on. You know what I mean? Like, so, and why is it real quick? Because then I have one more question to ask you. Why is it that they allow? I never understood this. Why they allow them to fight? Why do the refs allow? Is it self-regulation? Just let them out. Don't let it have it pent up. Then I'm gonna throw you into the box, and that's it.
I think I don't know. I wasn't around when the sport
I'm just
was
saying,
invented,
but you grew up.
But this has been ingrained in the fabric of the sport. If that guy is my team's best player, that's our $11 million guy, and you hit him, you're paying for that. So
when you hit him, like legally or I can't touch him at all. Like, come on, it's hockey.
You're a Rangers guy, right?
Yeah.
Somebody takes a run at Panarin.
Oh, I'm dependent.
Right. You're not supposed to do that.
Okay.
You're just not, you know what I mean?
Unwritten rule?
It's written that it's going to cost you 5 minutes for fighting.
Okay.
But like that, and you don't see enforcers in the game like you used to, where like that's the guy, like he's here to fight. But there are guys that can play. Like Ryan Reeves can play. He didn't make the NHL just because he could fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if Ryan Reeves pulled up on you on the block, you're gonna be shook. Like you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
There are still tough guys in the game. They just happen to also be very talented.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so like as far as letting them fight, I mean, you know, there's probably a larger conversation to be had about CTE, and like there are players that even guys that I idolized as a kid that we're seeing that, you know, are dealing with a lot of demons associated with the wear and tear on their brain from being an enforcer in the league. But do I think fighting is going anywhere? Not anytime soon. For the same reason in the NFL, like these dudes just beat the crap out of each other every Sunday.
Yeah, that's it.
But this is all the entertainment business.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so to cap it off, we are going to ask you the question that we ask everybody. So what would you say, John, is your last flight out moment? Sort of that moment, had that not happened, you wouldn't be right now where you are with OTSG, with the $70 million under management. Like, what was that critical moment that you're like, I'm thankful that happened, or I'm thankful that I took that risk?
So, you know, I have the benefit of going through all of the experiences of being a young entrepreneur and trying to build something. And I know the stress associated with that, but I didn't do it by going all in. I've worked as a practicing lawyer the whole time. So I've been burning the candle at both ends. And I could say this with my chest. It was the worst thing that happened to me, and it happened twice. I got fired from my job, my day job, with a pregnant wife at home twice.
I remember that.
And both times, I probably would have just continued on the path I was on had that not happened. And I ended up falling upward into situations that allowed me to learn new things, new skills that could have been applied to my agent practice, or meet people that blessed me in ways that helped me. So I'm not going to name the firms that fired me.
Oh, we know them though. Don't worry about it.
But you could check my LinkedIn if you really want to know. So shout out to y'all. Congrats. You missed. And I'm those are my last flight out moments.
Man, thanks for that. So why didn't you tell the people where they can find you, what you got going on with OTSG, and then we can wrap up from there.
All right. So my name is John Kofi Osei Tutu, but my IG handle is John Ozzy Tutu, John JOHN OZZY TUTU, and that's across all socials. You can find my company OTSG. It's at OTSG Hockey on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you want to, collab or get it going, man.
Man, that's what's up, man. Thank you so much, man. And you can find us at Last Fight Out Podcast across all of our social media channels. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe to the channel. You can find me, John, at JLubriel26. You can find Mike, who's somewhere out in the world, at If Mike Was Here. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next week, same time, same place. Thanks so much. Man, you didn't have to do them like that, man. You didn't have to do them like that.
It was film day.
Yeah.
We gotta make a statement.
Exactly. We gotta make a statement. Last
What's
Fight Out.
going on, man?
Flat out.